Let us talk about conscious uncoupling. A whole lot of things happen when two people who were either in marriage or in other forms of spousal relationship get separated or get divorced. You know, in Nigeria, it happens in a way that the child suffers a lot. But I understand Nigeria to be a country where religion rules. God hates divorce. Nobody likes divorce. There is nobody who went into marriage with the hope of getting divorced someday. We all want to be together forever until death do us part. But then there are circumstances that one will find in relationships or in marriages that might demand that they call it a day in the interest of everybody involved. But you see, there are other countries of Africa that are trying to solve these problems of spousal relationship to the best of their ability. But when something gets to Nigeria, rather than Nigeria or Nigerians trying to solve social or societal issues, they complicate it. I've been to one or two places outside of Nigeria, and I'm talking about Africa now, not even Europe or America. There are countries that include clauses like, you know, possibility of getting a second wife in their marriage act, in their marriage laws. There are countries that even go ahead to include the possibility of having side chick. I'm not talking about something I heard. I'm talking about something I know. I've been to a place where my friend's elder brother have an official side chick. The wife knows the side chick. The side chick is a member of the family. She comes when the family wants to have a meeting. You will see the wife, you will see the side chick. We all know this is the side chick. The wife knows, everybody knows. So it has helped. It doesn't make sense. Right now, I'm talking to Nigerians, but it doesn't make sense. But it has helped those places to be able to manage these conflicts that come in relationship. But Nigeria, that we all know, if you wanted to talk about having an official side chick or the possibility of having a second wife is like taboo. I am not I am not pro polygamy. I am not pro side chick. I believe in the unification of souls. I see relationship as soul mating. But the order of the day, I am not the one that decides or determine what happens in society. I could just be one person. But from what we've observed, the order of the day is that a lot of people would rather go into cheating, you know, just to achieve that polygamous exploitation that is within. And when they do that, the other partner is not comfortable with it. So, a way of helping this thing to not escalate is by creating those marriage clauses. Then you and your partner can decide, yeah, I know another person in another place that their marriage got delayed for over 2 years. Is my friend, medical doctor. Why was that? Because he was insisting that they take on the clause of the possibility of a second wife, and the lady she grew up in Nigeria. She wasn't born in Nigeria, but she grew up in Nigeria and then went back to her country. So she's acquainted with the Nigerian idea of one man, one wife. So she was like she would not go into a marriage that has the possibility of a second wife. So they talked about that for over 2 years. At the end of the day, the woman gave in and accepted to be married with the possibility of a second wife. Now, if that guy wants to get polygamous, it wouldn't really be a thing because we've agreed, we've put it and we've signed it into our marriage. The problem, it becomes a problem when we agree to stay one for each other, and then later on you started doing things that were not agreed upon. But that's not really the basis of what I'm going to say today. I want to talk about conscious uncoupling when we are no longer married, when we are no longer in a relationship, when we no longer feel love towards each other, and especially when a child has become a part of it. How do we go about it? I saw a video, it's that video that inspired me to speak about this. I saw a video of a young man who was lamenting all over the place that his ex-wife or ex-partner left a 3 months old, their 3 months old kid with him. And then he had gone to the parents and they don't want to take the child. They asked him to go and take care of the child. Um, if you ask me, or someone like me, there is no woman that would do that to me as punishment. Like our own child, I'll have a problem taking care. No, there are so many ways to go about it, you know. But then the reactions from a lot of women is why I decided to speak about it. First of all, there need to be the understanding of the difference between custody and access. So some women want to say, you men, you always said the woman is keeping the child away from you. Now the woman has given you the child, it becomes a problem. What do men really want? You always want the child to be given to you. We have given this one to you. Why are you complaining? Why are you saying you cannot take care of the child? And let me say this, no matter the love you have for someone, no matter the love a person claims to have towards you, be sure to never make the mistake of getting married to an irrational person, like someone who is unreasonable. Be sure to never make the mistake of even going a step further to have a child with someone who is unreasonable. You know, and very important is the fact that you see the social media is a reflection of reality to a very large extent. Do not take for granted whatever your partner does on the social media. And it brings me to the point where I would have to say that if you have a partner who doesn't want to be friends with you on the social media, be wary, you have to be worried, because what is it that they don't want you to see? I know a lot of couples that unfollow each other or block each other. Myself and my wife are not friends on Facebook, or myself and my husband or my babe, we are not friends on Facebook so that we would avoid trouble. That's not being honest to yourselves in the relationship. Or maybe that's like playing around. In fact, your partner is supposed to be your guide in the public. You know, the understanding of the fact that if I said something unreasonable, my partner could see it, will help to make you to become more responsible than you used to be. So do not be, you have no business in a relationship where your partner doesn't want you to know their social media life. Sometimes the real you is expressed on the social media. Other times you could just be like they say catching cruise. You know, also as a person who maybe is in search of a relationship, you have to be particular about what the person with whom you are hoping to be in a relationship post or say online. A lot of times people express who they are on the internet, but because we already live by the idea of it's just social media, it's not real life, we get confused or we get swayed. So when I saw that 3 months, well, to say the least, it was a skit. It wasn't real. If you watched the video and observed the way it went, you would notice that that was just chasing clouds. But it can happen. Whatever you think of, whatever you imagine, can happen. So the reaction from women, it was very disappointing. Women just kept saying anything, everything. Yes, it serves him right. It should take care of the child. Is the child no longer his child? Let him see what women are going through. Bro, it's not God that gave um, women breast. It's God that gave women breast, or nature. For those who might not believe in God, there is a reason the woman have has breast, and this child is 3 months old. If you want to substitute breast with factory food for kids, let it be the only option. Maybe for medical reasons, or the woman doesn't produce. There are women that do not produce breast milk, sometimes enough for the baby, sometimes they don't even produce at all. Let the child not take factory products that young, over the fact that their parents are having conflict. That's child abuse, no matter how you want to look at it. But all the women I saw, nobody cared about the fact that trying to make a statement by letting this kid be with the father is directly punishing the kid. But how will you feel as a mother that your 3 months old kid is with a man who has openly said he can't put up with caring for this kid? But everybody was like, the child is your child, you can take care of. There is nobody who can't take care of a kid, but like they say in Igbo, ekere oru eke. There is a natural division of labor It's just what it is. And that's why I earlier mentioned the difference between custody and access. Even if you went to the law, there is a certain age a child would be within for which custody would never be given to the father, only on grounds of the irresponsibility of the mother, or if the mother poses as a sort of danger or harmful to the kid. But a certain age, and this has nothing to do with if the kid is male or female. Naturally, woman takes better care of children than the man. So why do you want to fight your ex-partner with the kid? That's so unreasonable. If as a person you want to go into marriage or relationship, or let's use marriage, one of the things to consider is if things went wrong, if I got divorced with this person, what will be their reaction? How will they handle me? How will they handle whatever will be left of our relationship? But when you say that to an average Nigerian, they'll say, God forbid, chukwaju, marriage where I never even start, you don't already they see divorce. Nobody is saying we are seeing divorce. But the truth is, anything can happen. While you're planning for good success of marriage, you should also think of the fact that anything can happen. There is nobody, divorce is the order of the day, and I'm not saying divorce is a bad thing. Of course, if it's not broken, you have to work out. There is nobody who went into marriage with the mindset that one day they will go out. But it always happens. What that means is that divorce is human. So you have to plan for it. Be very intentional about choosing partners. If we ended up divorced later in this marriage, will does this person seem like someone who will want to get at me using the kid? Does this person seem like someone who will want to prevent me access to the kid? Does this person look like someone who wouldn't want to send upkeep? Or there are people who don't identify with the kid because they are no longer with their parents. Is this the kind of person this person is? We are not saying you're going to end up divorced, but all these things are important to the kind of person you're living with. So that's kids. Bro, I saw it and I just saw the responses were made of trauma. Uh, there is no Nigerian who is not traumatized if it, and this doesn't matter where you are currently, whether you're in Nigeria or you're in Asia, you're in Europe, anywhere. As long as you were born in Nigeria and you grew up in Nigeria to age 15, you carry trauma. Nigerian society is anchored on trauma. Everywhere you look at in Nigeria, the only thing you see are trauma responses, including me that is speaking. And like I said, it doesn't matter where you find yourself. The people who have escaped that trauma to a reasonable extent are kids that were born outside of Nigeria. But as long as their parents grew up in Nigeria till age 15, they will transfer a part of that trauma to the kids. We are a society of trauma. It's normal, but we don't know it. You would only get to know it if you've left Nigeria to like Europe or America and you listen to or see how people behave, the conversations they have, the way they react to issues, a lot of things will not connect and you start questioning your well-being. A lot of things that we just do in Nigeria and it's normal are very crazy things in other parts of the world. So trauma is how people responded to that video of a 3 months old. Nobody cared about the well-being of the child. Even the men who were speaking against it, they weren't speaking against it because of the child. They were speaking against it because of the man. You see, the gender contest is just glaring. It's very sad. You don't punish a partner by punishing the kid. There's a place for everyone, but if you've not cared about, now I'm talking about people who have left marriages that have kids or relationship that have kids. If you've not cared about your kid to the point where your new partner feels some level of jealousy, you've not really cared about your kid. That's the truth. Like I said, there's a place for everyone. There's a place for your partner. There is a place for your kid. There's a place for yourself. But if you've not shown love and care towards your kid enough for your new partner, feel like, is it that I don't matter? You know, you do not really care about your kid. So, what will make someone to leave their 3 months old baby in the hands of a person who is not naturally geared to put up with handling or managing a 3 months old baby all by themselves? It's just trauma. There is someone who, a lady who is divorced, but any day you tap on her, she will tell you that the guy with whom I have kids, even though we are no longer together, even though we can't work, even though we are not at peace with each other, I feel lucky to have him as the father of my children. He would even say it that the way this guy loves and cares for their children, even her father didn't do that for her. You know, when we talk about love and care for people, especially kids, a lot of people think it's about having all the monies in the world. Money is very important, but love cannot be measured by money. Being available for your children, being ready to give anything and everything for the well-being of your children. And there is a saying that divorce hits hard on the children. The children feel a void. The children grow up unhappy. You can see all of those things. It's a general statement in society. It looks believable, but I bet you when the both of you put the kids first, when you make it all about your kids, it has reduced whatever stress or post-traumatic stress that would have come to the kid as a result of the divorce or separation by their parents. To have reduced it by 98%. The only 2% that will be left there is the wish of having both parents living together, especially when they go to school and they see other their classmates having both parents. Maybe they talk about how they hang out with their parents and the rest. Just that 2%. Apart from that, when you put the kids first, there is no chance of them having those things that people say kids who grew up from, they call it broken home. I don't know about broken. The marriage just didn't work. People who grow up from marriages that didn't work. In fact, it is better to be separated than to be in a marriage that doesn't work. You're trying to fight. That is when the kids will pick up more trauma. The only time to keep kids away from the other parents, like I said, is if they constitute danger. Be there for your kids. Now, some people will say that he doesn't send upkeep, he doesn't pay school fees. When last did he find out if I buy Pampers? There are good reasons to get angry. There are good reasons to get frustrated. There are good reasons to want to, make the life of that other parent miserable, but it's not enough to keep the kid away from that parent. Keeping the kid away from that parent is you unleashing your frustration by their other parent to their detriment. You know, the frustration you release on the other parent by punishing them with not granting access to the kid, it will get the other parent frustrated, it will get the other parent angered, but it would negatively affect your kid even for a lifetime. So, is that what you want for the kid? If I grew up in a separated home and I got to know that one parent kept me from the other parent, bro, the moment I become a man of my own, I will shut myself out of that parent who kept me from the other parent, because you do not love me. If you love your child enough, you should love them to the extent of never coming in between their relationship with the other parent. That's not how to manage conflict. There are so many ways by which you can get the other parent to be responsible. As a matter of fact, there was one lady who asked the other lady a question and she couldn't answer, because that lady was like, how could you not be able to take care of a 3 months old child? Is the child not yours? You are punishing the lady now. You men, you're always punishing the ladies. Now the lady want to give you the child to take. Now you cannot take. And the other lady asked, how could you allow someone who is irresponsible or someone who cannot take care of a 3 months old to get you pregnant? When there is conflict, we easily blame the other person. We do not sober reflect on ourselves. Because if you call this man an irresponsible man, nobody all of a sudden became irresponsible. I always say people don't change. When you pick up who you are, you don't change. You might just adjust to situations. So you want to get involved, you have to do a background check to understand the character. You will never know enough, but the basic things are supposed to be known. You would even see them in the actions of that person. So the question was asked her, how were you able to allow an irresponsible person or someone who can't take care of kids to get you pregnant? Isn't that your own fault? And she was unable to say anything. You know, one thing we should learn to do is to forgive. Forgive your your ex-husband, ex-wife, or ex-partner. Forgive them for your sake. People who carry grudges carry heart diseases. People who carry grudges carry sicknesses. You are not happy, and someone who is not happy will not raise a happy kid. You see how these things affect kids? It's not the divorce that affects kids per se, because we'll have kids that grew up not even having the other parent. We have kids that lost their other parents to death just while growing up. We have kids that didn't even have parents at all, and they come out well. So it's not the separation, it is your response to the separation, it's your reaction to the divorce that determines what becomes the pattern of your kid. So forgive your partner no matter what they did to you, no matter how right you are. You should be able to forgive them for your sake, for the sake of the kid. Don't see them as enemy, because you are the one who made the choice to accept that person as your partner in the first place. There are people who were forced by parents, now this person you go marry. At the end of the day, nobody had a gun on your head. And that's why you need to have some level of maturity beyond age before you want to talk about going into those kinds of relationship that could lead to raising kids. You don't just go into marriage or those kind of relationships because you think you're ready or people are doing it. You have to have a level of maturity. The maturity to be able to make your own choices away from what your parents say. For me, if I'm approaching a lady and she says, my parents said that, or my mother will not allow this, or my father will not, or my brother does not, or I have overstayed, they are going to quarrel. I just know that you are underage, even if you're 40 years old. I just consider you an underage person, and me, I'm not a pedo. You know, I don't I don't do things with underage people. You need to be sure of the choices you're making so that whatever goes on or whatever goes wrong, you should be able to take full responsibility and not shifting blames. Do not be enemies with your ex. You might not necessarily be friends, but you can be parents. There are people who don't even talk to each other, you know, but they raise kids very wonderfully. Keep your boundaries, especially if you've got into another relationship. For the sake of your new relationship, especially, an aspect of respect is keeping boundaries with your ex to the knowledge of your now partner. Keep your boundaries, but do not become enemies. Boundaries is not enmity, because anything can happen. You do not have to blame yourself for the choices you've made. You do not have to regret anything. Boss it up and make the best out of it. Love, kindness, they are very affectionate, they are nice people. This person is so wonderful. I can't do without this person. All those things are sweet. Sometimes they are fantasy. Choose a rational partner. Choose a reasonable partner. Rationality is what stands the test of time. You know, like Flavor, the musician said, "Ebidozionato, darling, darling, ebidozionada. I love you, I love you." But when the time gets tough, love, affection, care, kindness will be tested. Sometimes when there is a breakup, it is only you that will be surprised at the kind of reception you're getting from this person. Whoa, isn't this same person the person who was saying they love me? How are they becoming lions and lioness just because we are no longer together? It's not because they didn't love you. They love you, but the love has been tested and it failed. What would remain? What would have been um, your saving grace would be that that person is rational. Is a rational person that understands that we don't have to become enemies because we are no longer in a relationship. I have a friend in Kenya, Mukami. She talks a lot about conscious uncoupling. Mukami and her ex-husband. I have never seen a thing like this before. Even myself, who claim to be very conscious, I was like, wow, these people are teaching me something out of this world. Mukami and her ex-husband goes out on a date together. Like every month, they hang out together, even late into the night, sit out, eat in a restaurant, play, take photos and post. And then good night, they hug each other. They go out with the kids, they play, they maintain that relationship as though they were married, even though they are divorced. And what will wow you is that the both of them are in a relationship. Mukami Mukami has been with a guy for a period of time. Okay, now she moved in, she's left that relationship into another relationship. Her ex-husband is in a relationship. But I asked her one day, I was like, Bukami, are you sure you guys will not lash? She was like, no, that's never going to happen. Are you sure you guys have not even lashed already? She was like, no, they keep it clean. But they get their new partners to understand that this is the situation. And that's where trust should also come in. You have to build trust. If you've broken trust before, it's very difficult to rebuild, but you have to. Trust is built convincingly. You have to convincingly show the other person that one one swallow doesn't make a summer. That it happened before doesn't mean it will happen. That it doesn't define who I am. So until you are able to build trust, you would allow the Mukami situation to be the order of the day. But it's something that looks really intense. But the kids, it has helped them to, you know, live a very beautiful life. It's just what I have in mind to share with us today, and I am hopeful that I did justice to some aspects of it. Let's stay happy apart instead of together upset. And because happiness is contagious, let's be happy while raising kids apart.